former regulator. He was really seen as key to your U.S. expansion, also getting in line with compliance. What were those differences over strategic differences where you didn't perhaps see eye to eye?
Thanks for having me here. I can't comment on the specifics. I think Brian did great work. It's nothing regulatory related. We wish him best of luck in his future endeavors. But nothing regulatory related. It was, some differences in opinions on other matters. We wish him luck.
Okay, without him in place, then what do your U.S. plans and expansion look like? As I mentioned, he was such a key piece, a former regulator of your expansion, especially when you're seeing this growing crackdown around the world on the platform.
So I think in every region, I'm actually not involved. I am the chairman of the board. I'm not involved in the day-to-day operations to the point. I'm not actually in the communication chat tools, etc. But the general strategy all over the world is to continue to hire ex-regulators, hire very senior people to augment our team, continue to grow the compliance team very aggressively. And also, we're looking to diversify our cap table. We're doing runs of fundraising for most local licensed entities, including Binance US. So we're bringing more structure, more open governance onto more corporate governance onto each of these entities.
Right, but CZ, if you're not going to go into details about why Brian Brooks left and he was such a key part of this, does that make it more difficult? As you said, your strategy is to hire more regulators around the world. If your highest profile one just left the platform, where does that leave you?
So I think people join companies and leave companies all the time. It is unfortunate that he left. But it doesn't mean that just because one person left the company doesn't mean the company cannot hire other people. So I think we'll continue to beef up our compliance teams, hire senior ex-regulators, people who are with strong compliance background, and all over the world. And we actually have a couple announcements coming out. Just because one person leaves the company doesn't mean that we can't hire other people.
Okay, CZ, let's talk about leverage. You guys recently reduced the maximum leverage on the platform for futures contracts to 20 times from the previous peak of 125 times. You said that it was in the interest of consumer protections. What were you seeing that made you worried?
So to be honest, this is one of the areas where regulators around the world are very concerned about. Like they pay more attention to this area, and we just thought, look, and to be honest, the 125x is more of a advertising number. When you go 125x, you have very low allocation. You can only do that for a couple $100, to be honest. So beyond that amount, you don't get that leverage. So it's really more, to be very honest, it's really more of the pixel count on digital cameras advertising effect. It's just a high number. There was a time, other exchanges offered 100x, then people offered 101x, we offered 125x, but very few people actually use those. So we thought, look, with a lot more regulatory structure coming into this industry, we just thought that wasn't really necessary anymore.
CZ, speaking of regulatory structure and perhaps some legal risk, give us your thoughts on this U.S. infrastructure bill. Not so much what might end up happening through it, because it sounds like even Senator Portman is taking a step back. But how prepared is Binance to handle various different legal requirements that might come down in different jurisdictions, requiring you to keep track of who's transacting, how they're transacting for tax reasons? Is that a big potential burden for you, and how are you preparing for it?
It's actually, so for us, we have been preparing for this for quite a while, and we have just launched the tax reporting tool through the API. So you can connect your Binance account to any third-party tax reporting tool that you wish, and the data flows directly out based on the user's choice. So we've been preparing for this type of changes for a while, and I think having more regulatory structure in this industry is actually a very healthy thing, because now we know what to do. Before 4 years ago, there was much less clarity on the regulatory space. And industry players don't really know what to do. Once we know what to do, our strength is in our execution ability. Once we know what to do, we can execute very quickly.
So for miners, stakers, software developers, is there an opportunity here for someone to provide them with the tools necessary for this kind of tracking and documentation? Or do you think on a global basis for some of these players that would be an undue burden?
So to be honest, for newer, smaller players, it is actually a higher burden than for an established player like us. We have a decently large team, and we have always been able to execute very quickly. So for us, it's, to be honest, once the industry matures a little bit, for the bigger players, it's typically an advantage. To be very honest, but we don't. But at the same time, look, the smaller players get a lot less scrutiny from the regulators today. So they may be able to get by for a little bit longer. But look, regulation will be applied very evenly across the board. So for us, it's actually an advantage.
CZ, quick question on institutional demand. We did a piece last week about JP Morgan, according to our reporting, quietly offering access to some high net worth clients to some crypto funds. And we called it a sign that Wall Street's years-long reluctance to deal with crypto is over. Would you go along with that?
Sorry, you broke up one little bit. Wall Street, I missed that word.
Yeah, I just wondered, JP Morgan offering some access to crypto to high net worth clients, is that a sign that institutional demand is truly turning a corner of sorts?
Absolutely. So we have seen family offices coming directly to us, not through traditional financial institutions. We are also seeing traditional financial institutions coming to us with institutional demand. So I think that's definitely coming, and many of them require more advanced wallet tools, custody tools, etc. So I think that's definitely coming. We've been preparing for that for quite a while, and again, I think this really shows that the crypto industry is maturing.
Right, CZ, you've said a number of times that you guys have been preparing, that more regulation is healthy. You guys want to be more compliant. When it comes to a stablecoin like Tether specifically, which plays a huge role on the Binance platform, there are lots of questions and even an investigation into its backing and disclosure. Would you support more disclosure from and around Tether, and would you be prepared to reduce its role over, say, a USDC, which is seen as more transparent and having better disclosures?
So to be honest, we are very agnostic towards what users choose. So we are a neutral platform that we provide different access to different to users, and users can choose what they want. Having more clarity, transparency is always welcome. That's always a good thing. And to be honest, of all the stable coins, there's two stable coins. There's a Pax stable coin and Binance USD, which is also issued by Paxos. They actually have much stronger transparency and much higher reserve backing by the US dollar. So we actually, so we encourage transparency in all of these places. And I think higher transparency is great.
Right, you say you're agnostic, but as I mentioned, Tether is under investigation by the DOJ, and that could have major ramifications for your platform. It is the third most popular cryptocurrency by market cap. Do you have any precautions in place if confidence crumbles in the stablecoin?
To be honest, what we need, what we guarantee is we have 100% reserves. So user deposit any coin onto our platform, we have 100% of it. Whenever users want to withdraw, we have that. Certain regulations, certain investigations may impact a certain project, a certain coin, and I think we want to make that as transparent as possible. And thanks to you guys, the news in the industry is very transparent, and users have to make that judgment. But it doesn't really affect our platform. We make sure that when the users want to withdraw, they have it. When the users want to sell it, it's an open market. So it doesn't really impact our platform per se. We don't choose winners and losers.
CZ, thank you very much for being with us. Lots of great insights there. Hope to talk to you again soon. Chang, thanks.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
And the street is split on Tesla, with the stock stuck in neutral.